Hello. Well, we're back. Marvin, good afternoon.
Good afternoon in the frozen vortex of the East Coast.
Yeah, frozen vortex for sure. Hell hath frozen over, perhaps. Hell hath frozen over, perhaps, or perhaps not. No, things are good here. I want to let everybody know that, Marv, are you in a good mood?
Yes.
Good. I'm in a good mood as well. That is the disclaimer for this video, because what we're about to talk about, we've been pretty gentile, I would say, the last couple of weeks in terms of our criticisms of the SP space. But this is going to be a banger of a video. We are going to go hard, or at least I am. I have a feeling that Marvin will be as well. Little quick backstory for those of you relatively new here. My friend Maggie pulled me into briefly moderating the Reddit, the Neville subreddit a few years ago, when she was briefly moderating it, and our friend Cecilia was also moderating it. That sub was over 100,000 followers back then. Now it's over 200,000. And what we discovered, and I think what most moderators who try to moderate it discover, is that the Neville subreddit, like most large subreddits, especially like, advice-driven subreddits, are completely unmoddable. You kind of have to let the inmates run the asylum because you're not going to be able to do it yourself. So anyway, I was off of there for a long time. Cecilia and I tried to semi-quietly re-enter like a year ago. We both failed. I failed miserably. But then last month I was like, you know what? I've never really posted about SP stuff on the Reddit before with any consistency. And Marv and I are giving really good SP advice that's not like anything else. If I turn the other cheek, if I forgive 7 times 70, perhaps I can go back on Reddit and convince people that they should not be on there to get relationship advice and SP advice, and that there are better avenues to explore. And so I've been doing that. I have been posting and turning the other cheek on Reddit a lot over the last month. And I've liked some of the stuff I've written, and I've gotten, some good feedback from people, which is nice. None of my posts that I can think of really bombed until the post I did. I believe it was yesterday. I posted it where I spoke, and I mentioned this in my last video, speaking about how Neville said that his wife was never really his wife. She was just a series of states, basically. It's typical, really cool, far out Neville, very esoteric. And as Marvin and I always say, Neville's a very esoteric teacher, especially with relationships. Joseph Murphy and Florence Scovel Shinn are two notable examples of New Thought teachers that are much more down to earth and practical and action oriented. Neville really is not that action oriented. Anyway, I posted this and just said, you got to follow the golden rule if you want to manifest your SP back. You're really trying to manifest the state back, not your SP. That's what Neville would say. And people harshly disagreed. It was the normal riffraff that we see in Reddit all the time. And I was like, holy cow, these folks are, it's the blind leading the blind. This is a long-winded explanation, folks, though, of why you have to get the heck off of Reddit if you are serious about manifesting your SP back or getting a new SP. Reddit is one of the most toxic and uneducated communities when it comes to giving you sound relationship advice or sound law of assumption, law of attraction advice. And that point was underscored this morning for Marvin and I, when we were speaking to people who were in, Reddit groups and also just on social media groups, SP groups, where it's truly the blind leading the blind. And we heard a couple of astounding things this morning that maybe shouldn't seem astounding anymore because we hear them too often. Marv, do you want to, without naming names, do you want to explain what the story of the first person we spoke to, or would you rather I do that?
No, you can go ahead.
Basically, this person we spoke to this morning, they had never really been in a serious relationship before, and they were taken advantage of by someone with, in my opinion, probably like narcissistic personality traits. I don't know if they were actually a certified narcissist. They probably were not. But this was a guy who was older than the woman we were speaking to, and he took advantage of her and strung her along, and was an awful SP. Okay, just a lousy guy in terms of his behavior. Objectively, if you look at him, you'd say this guy's a piece of shit. Okay, like just really lousy. Like you don't want to treat people that way. This woman asked in her group, like, what's going on? And the coach was like, well, he's a reflection of you. Change yourself and he will change. And that's why.
Essentially, sorry to cut you off.
Please.
Essentially, she said that he's that way because of you.
The coach blamed
her and saying that he cheated on you because it's your fault, basically, which is extremely fucked up. But I just wanted to make sure we clarified that.
Exactly. No, thank you. That's why I thought maybe, that's important to clarify. So that was the advice. Now, that advice is so fucked up, as Marvin said, so insane. And yet it's accepted. You go on Reddit, you will see advice like this all the time. The post I did yesterday, the pushback I got was basically, no, it's you create your reality. I can manifest my SP back. Don't take advice from strangers you don't know online, unless they seem incredibly qualified and semi-sane. Reddit and YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, etc. There are not many people who sound sane and reasonable on those platforms compared to the masses that sound insane and are just. If you gave this kind of advice to someone who wasn't in this community, you would sound fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. Okay? That means the advice is probably fucking crazy. We do not endorse sociopathic behavior and shaming people when someone happens to have dated or be in a relationship with a toxic person, and to say, oh no, it's your fault, you manifested that. Now, of course, there is some truth to that, some energetic truth to that, right? Where you allowed that person into your life. But to say, oh, that's you. You created that person, cheating on you or abusing you or raping you. No, motherfucker, fuck you. And I'm saying this gently. Like I said, I'm in a good mood, right? But that kind of behavior is absolutely toxic. And when people are like, Marv, Tim, why do you call out Sammy Ingram? Why do you call out da-da-da? Why do you call out Reddit people? It's because of this. It's not acceptable. It is not acceptable. It's never been acceptable. It will never fucking be acceptable. You cannot give these bullshit law of assumption concepts, which is not what Neville was saying, as an excuse for this absolutely despicable behavior. The amount of shame and trauma that it can cause somebody is immense. So it's law of assumption. You manifested it. No, you know what you manifested? You manifested being a fucking piece of shit who should not be giving fucking advice to people. Save the SP advice for people who actually can give it. Like Marvin and myself, and like Joey Murphy. That's right. You might not have thought this was coming. This is part of the Joey Murphy SP course. Unbelievable. But before we get to the chapter or the section of the chapter we're going to read today, do you have any thoughts, short or long, about our morning, Marvin?
Yeah, I think with the SP stuff and this LOA community, there's a fine line, and we have to be careful to toe that line especially with SP stuff, relationship stuff. We have to toe that fine line with victim blaming. And again, as Tim and I love to say, this is very nuanced. because there is and there can be a time and place where we can look at you and say, oh, that is 100% your fault for whatever you did. However, in the SP community in particular, what we see is we see the gaslighting and the victim blaming so much in this community, and it takes the responsibility off of whoever you were with in the relationship, as if they didn't do anything, as if they didn't commit adultery, as if they didn't do whatever they did that was wrong, like Tim said, as if they didn't hit you physically or verbally abuse you or assault you, sexually assault you, or whatever the case may be, as if they didn't do any of these things. And so, like I said, we got to be careful with, because to me, the LOA community has a lot of victim blaming, right? And I totally disagree with probably most of it, I would say. This whole idea of, oh, it's everyone is you pushed out, or it's because it's your state. You caused them to do that to you. No, you didn't. You think somebody woke up today and said, oh, today I want to be SA'd. Oh, today I want to get hit in the face. You know what I'm saying? Like that, that just thinking about that and the gaslighting that comes from this community is wild to me. Especially, I'm particularly talking to the Neville people and some of these content creators, some of these coaches. And we talked about this in past videos. There was a coach who she went on her channel and she had to backtrack because I guess she made a video. She talked about this, and I think she was getting heavily criticized because I think she probably made it sound like, I don't know what exactly they were talking about, but she probably made it sound like whoever she was working with, like it was your fault. That and she was just getting bashed for it. And so that's why Tim and I always tell you guys, you got to be careful with how you present this information. As a teacher, as a coach, you have a responsibility. This ain't just, in my opinion, this ain't just getting on YouTube and just saying shit. You got to have a fucking response. Like when you choose to be a teacher, when you choose to be a light bearer, in my opinion, if you want to use these types of terms, you want to be the salt of the earth, like you have a responsibility to say, you know what, if I say this, what's going to happen? Is this going to sound right when I say this, when this comes out of my mouth? And the thing that I realized is a lot of people on Reddit and a lot of these coaches, they don't have that. They don't care. They don't care what they say. As long as the money keeps coming in, as long as you keep paying me, yeah, I'm going to lie to you and tell you can get your SP back in 48 hours. I'm going to tell you you're going to get movement. You're going to hear something in the next 20. It's madness to me. And particularly, I'm talking to the Neville community because I had somebody like you, Tim. I had somebody comment on one of my videos a few weeks ago. Went back and forth with me saying, oh, why did you name drop this person? Why did you? I think I name dropped Subconscious Lines in one of my videos. And they were like, oh, that's not fair. I'm like, who are you to determine what's fair or not? When you get into this space, you open the door for all criticism. That's what people don't realize. When you become a public figure, you become a speaker, you're opening the door for all criticism. I don't care how nice you are. Jesus Christ was criticized. Gandhi was criticized. All of these people that meant well, Martin Luther King, yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. All of these people that meant well, that wanted to change, that wanted to love people, they were all criticized. When you get into this public platform, that comes with the territory. And so all these people that come on my channel or Tim's channel and try to be the LOA police and tell us, oh, you shouldn't say that about a coach. Oh, you shouldn't name drop, or you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do, like Tim said, fuck you. When you put yourself in this position, just as Tim and I have put ourselves in this position, we know we're going to be criticized. It comes with the territory. I forget who that famous philosopher was, whoever said, if you don't want to be criticized, say nothing, do nothing, feel nothing, whatever that guy that said that was. And that's the truth. You want to make everybody happy, sell ice cream. But even then you can't make everybody happy. You know why? Because people are going to be like, oh, do you have vegan ice cream? I don't eat dairies. Why don't you sell vegan ice cream? You need to sell vegan. Oh, you don't have the, oh, you shouldn't buy from this company. This company doesn't agree with my beliefs. And they're gonna find some fucking way, you know. And so particularly to the Neville community, this really is to y'all.
Yeah.
When you get rid of, I want you to understand something. When you choose a side, because most people that follow Neville, they choose a side. They basically choose Neville and they draw 100%. That hard line.
Yep, exactly.
When you choose it, understand this and remember this. When you choose a side, you are basically getting rid of your objectivity. You're getting rid of your objectivity because now you cannot be objective to anything Neville says. It's the same thing in politics. When you choose a side in politics, you're basically getting rid of your objectivity in the sense to say, oh, my side does nothing wrong. My side is perfect. When all of them are fucked up. They all got fucked up shit about them. They're all doing crooked shit. So when you're in this LOA space and you're trying to manifest the SP, do not get rid of your objectivity. Don't think just because you chose the side of Neville Goddard, oh, Neville's never wrong. Everything Neville says is law. And then you go on Reddit and you get discouraged because you don't even realize you're reading a comment from a 16-year-old who never even fucking lived life, who never even been in a relationship,
never been on a date,
who never got the tip wet. You know what I'm saying? To keep it PG. Like you guys literally are getting upset sometimes when you're reading comments from people on YouTube. You have no idea where these people are in the world. These people could be in a third world country somewhere, just so happen to have internet, leaving a wild ass comment or something. You know what I mean?
They often are. Shout out to all our third world viewers, by the way. We love you. But we don't know who you are. We do not know who you are.
Right. Like I said, you could be
know who you are. Even these big Maggie Cecilia and I used to talk about this when we were moderating on Reddit. There's people who comment all the time and people know them, you know, on Reddit, and you still have no idea who they are. We always used to say, man, I wonder if you actually met this person, what they would be like. Very different than when you actually know a person or when you put yourself out there.
Exactly.
Sorry, Marv.
No, you're good, but you're right. And again, this is why we do what we do, because we run our stuff how we run our stuff. And we call out this BS that people are going through in the community, because who are you to tell me what's right? And this is why Tim and I, we never tell you guys like, oh, you should let's do it this way. We always tell you guys there's a bunch of ways to do it. Figure out which way works for you. We always constantly tell you guys that. But for people to try to say, oh, you got to do it this way, or oh, I don't think that's, who are you to tell me what's right for my channel or Tim's channel? Because I guarantee you, for everybody that says, no, Tim and Marv, you shouldn't do it this way or talk this way, I guarantee you I could find a million people that agree with how we're talking and saying it and preaching the word. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I just wanted to, you know, I know that was a soliloquy. I just had to say that because the objectivity, it's for some reason people, they think, oh, if I pick a side, I can't agree with what they're saying. I have to stay on this side. And in my opinion, it's no, just because you agree with a Sammy doesn't mean you have to disagree with what Tim and I are saying. Two things can be true. And I think people lose sight of that. Two things can be true. What Sammy's telling you, she can absolutely be right. Or Subconscious Lies, or any of these other coaches out here, they could absolutely be right. And the reason that I'm telling people, the reason why Tim and I use those names is because some of these people are those are the names the names we continuously hear. Yeah. And they're the ones that are people are, you know, having to go to the hospital, getting panic attacks because they're following their advice, not realizing it's a lot deeper than that. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I just wanted to mention that because
it's relevant.
Yeah, but yeah, Joey Murphy.
No, I mean, this is the thing, is that this is what Joey Murphy's all about, is following the golden rule and being open-minded. Listen, Marv and I don't walk around the rest of our life, you know, screaming at people and throwing punches. We are critical for a reason on this channel. Honestly, I don't think either of us really wants to be a whistleblower. Neither of us got into like coaching these ideas with the expectation that we're going to be a whistleblower and call people out. We just want to help people in general, you know, integrate these manifesting and spiritual concepts better in their life, specifically with SP stuff, which we both are very proficient at helping people do. And it's just shocked us how much riffraff there is and how much misinformation. I mean, I really think that the two of us it's only the two of us that I can think of that consistently call people out in this space. I wish there were more. And if there are other, I know there probably are other people, but we do it because we care about our clients and we care about people's health. And, you know, again, this stuff's nuanced. I think that most creators care about their people's health, but they give some fucking wild ass advice. I got an email the other day, everyone as you pushed out, sent them to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. Yep. That's what you're not going to hear on Sammy's channel, probably, or Subconscious Laws' channel. The irony is that there's a lot of validity to these ideas. They work. We will help you get them to work for you. Other good coaches can help you get them to work for you. But you can't just say grandiose, dogmatic shit and not expect people to call you out on it. And a lot of them have. But guess what? Now we're coming at you. So yeah, stay the fuck off of Reddit. My God. Holy cow. This part of the next section just ties right in. So we're talking about social media, which was not around in Murphy's day, but this ties right into getting sound advice from people who actually know what they're talking about. Okay. So everything we just discussed, why we discussed it prior to this, is because it ties into what Murphy's about to talk about. This part of the chapter, The Subconscious Mind and Marital Problems, is called The Great Mistake. Joey Murphy writes, a great mistake is to discuss your marital problems or difficulties with neighbors and relatives. Suppose, for example, a wife says to the neighbor, John never gives me any money. He treats my mother abominably, drinks to excess, and is constantly abusive and insulting. Now, this wife is degrading and belittling her husband in the eyes of all the neighbors and relatives. He no longer appears as the ideal husband to them. Never discuss your marital problems with anyone except a trained counselor. Why cause numerous people to think negatively of your marriage? Moreover, as you discuss and dwell upon these shortcomings of your husband, you are actually creating these states within yourself. Who is thinking and feeling it? You are. As you think and feel, so are you. Relatives will usually give you the wrong advice. It is usually biased and prejudiced because it is not given in an impersonal way. Any advice you receive which violates the golden rule, which is a cosmic law, is not good or sound. It is well to remember that no two human beings ever live beneath the same roof without clashes of temperament, periods of hurts and strain. Never display the unhappy side of your marriage to your friends. Keep your quarrels to yourself. Refrain from criticism and condemnation of your partner. Ooh. Neville subreddit. Hey, Neville subreddit. Come on now.
Let the church say amen.
Amen. That, ladies and gentlemen, is SP advice. Never go on Reddit again and start pondering what Murphy is talking about in this chapter, would be my advice. Of course, you're welcome to go on Reddit. We're not dogmatists. There's so much to unpack here. But, you know, we see all the time, Marvin and I talk to people all the time, that they share their story with way too many people. And honestly, as Murphy said, you really do not want to be sharing your story with anyone who's not trained in this, or that you think can give you some impersonal, rather objective advice. We do have clients that have close friends who get their situation and are able to call them out when they're doing stuff that's wrong or doing stuff that, like, it's like, you know what, maybe you shouldn't look at your husband or your wife that way or your partner that way, and you are. But generally speaking, there's not enough objectivity when you get family and friends involved in your relationships. And guess what? Almost everybody does.
Energetically is what matters to me, because when you go to people and you tell them these things and you compound, so you got to think about this. And typically, and I'll say this, I know a lot of women probably won't like me saying this, but you know, typically, because men, and the reason I'm getting ready to say what I say is because men, a lot of times we don't communicate with each other about a lot of this type of shit. That's why I'm getting ready to say what I'm about to say. But what I've noticed with a lot of women is from work, especially from working, I mean, since 2019, basically, I've been dealing with this, is I want you guys to think about this from an energetic perspective. A woman will go to her girlfriends, or whoever in her family, and potentially talk bad about, you know, her partner, whoever she's with, husband, boyfriend, or whoever. Now, that's however many different new energies that are basically combining and making the ball even bigger and bigger and bigger. And as you guys have heard, energy doesn't lie. Energy doesn't lie. So your boyfriend, your husband, or whoever, you guys will know this. I mean, he's gonna feel that most likely. He's gonna feel that energy of, oh yeah, I know her family doesn't like me. Oh, I know her friends don't like me. And that's gonna cause even more problems. That could potentially even cause him to potentially make the move, even if you didn't want to break up with him. That could potentially make him make the move first and say, yeah, I'm just gonna break up because I feel I can tell that your family don't like me, your friends don't like me, yada yada yada, all of the above. And so I think on an energetic level, I would be very careful. And again, this could happen to men too. Obviously, this isn't. I'm not everything that I'm saying is applying to everybody. It's not one size fits all. But um, this is just something to be aware of, because I think on an energetic level is what, especially for those that study the law, want to use that word. This is really what we got to be focused on and worried about, is paying attention to that aspect of it, and not just being self-aware. So
Totally. So much of it is a lack of self-awareness and the need to kind of like the need to vent, and venting to sources that you never should vent to. As you get older, hopefully, and you can be young and do this too. I hope you teens watching this video that came from Reddit start to do this, because you can do this when you're young too, is to learn to not vent unless it's with a trusted source that you can vent to. And again, that can show you some objectivity or some hard love or guide you in the right direction. But most of your friends and family are not that.
Because they always take your side. They're
Right.
pretty much always going to take your side with whatever and they're just going to believe whatever you tell them. And
Right.
that's dangerous. But I want you guys to always remember, time always keeps the score. In time will tell you who was right. If you keep going through relationship after relationship after relationship, time is going to show you, oh shit, I'm actually the problem. Time is going to show your relatives, your family, your friends, oh shit, it actually probably wasn't her exes. It was probably her, or it was probably him.
Right.
He was you know what I'm saying? So you can.
And then there'll be the flip. You'll talk to your mom or your friend about it, and they'll say, "Oh no, it's probably you." And maybe then it's not you. Maybe it was the other person, but they no longer trust you because again, you're talking to sources that are not reliable.
Exactly, which is why people like Tim and myself, or people that actually care and don't want to just make a buck off of you, we're gonna be able to call that type of stuff out ASAP. We're going to be able to tell you, hey, listen, this really is you. Or listen, this has just, today we talked to a couple people already, Tim, and we told them, this sounds like it has nothing to do with you. This sounds like the other
Right.
person. This
Right.
is their shit, not your shit.
Exactly. And again, mainstream SP community, you never hear that. It's always you in the mainstream community. Oh, your partner's a piece of shit. It's your fault. Don't talk and trust random people on Reddit or YouTube or Instagram making comments, guys. Never discuss your marital problems with anyone except a trained counselor. Ooh, a lot of you not going to like to hear that. Now, there's many different kinds of there's spiritual counselors, there's therapists, there's coaches, etc. There's trusted friends that you can actually rely on to tell you like it is, give you no bullshit advice. But don't be spouting bullshit to everybody else. Why cause numerous people to think negatively of your marriage or your relationship? As you discuss and dwell upon these shortcomings of your partner, you're actually creating these states within yourself. Who is thinking and feeling it? You are. As you think and feel, so are you. Man, unbelievable. And then, of course, Murph says a couple great things here. Again, he says most of the advice of relatives and friends is not given in an impersonal way. Okay. One big thing about LOA stuff that's cool is there kind of is this impersonality to it, right? And it's like, God like is being, you could say, channeled through us when we're talking to each other. It's not like Marvin and Tim are God giving you the advice. Not at all. It's like you are God and we are God, or the universe or whatever, lining up and being like, oh, I see the love there. Even though in the face of this, I see how we can go the path of least resistance with the most love, right? A lot of LOA is like that. And again, Murphy taps right into that here. He says, any advice you receive which violates the golden rule, which is a cosmic law, is not good or sound. Okay, I have to read that again. Any advice you receive which violates the golden rule, which is a cosmic law, is not good or sound.
And that's a lot of advice that violates that law.
Absolutely. And that's it. It's so, and again, like, you know, Marvin and I always talk about like, or sometimes talk about people like when you hear about these marriages or see people on YouTube or wherever, or Instagram particularly actually, or we have clients who are like, oh my gosh, they're just so happy, you know, they're so happy. Why can't I have that? And Marvin and I are always like, don't believe that. Listen to what Murphy says here. Remember, no two human beings ever live beneath the same roof without clashes of temperament, periods of hurt and strain. Never display the unhappy side of your marriage to your friends or on social media, okay? You have to use tact, grace, love, humility. You know, what were the, you know, some of the qualities that Murphy was talking about the other day? He was saying, you know, successful, honest, loyal, faithful, powerful, loving. This is the stuff. He or she is not faithful to their marriage if their marriage vows, which are to love, cherish, and honor all their days. You know, if you're not abiding by this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, because that type of stuff is very prevalent now. Especially like you're not on TikTok, Tim, but I am, and some of the stuff
Trump's made it. It's back stronger than ever. Got at least a couple more days.
Save the lifeline, throw the lifeline.
Yeah. We predicted that.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of videos, there's a lot of content on TikTok of people bashing their partners. Like you were saying, stay on social media or whatever. There's a lot of content on TikTok of people just telling stories about what happened with whoever their partner was. Just raking them through the coals. And then next thing you know, a divorce happens or a breakup happens. Or whatever the case.
Why? I wonder why.
But Murphy said it. That type of energy creates those states inside of you. And then he alluded to what I said earlier, which was now you're giving that energy to 5 other people. Your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your girlfriends. And now all of that energy combined, that stuff grows. And those thoughts grow and that telepathy starts to kick in, you know, with that type of stuff. You know, when you hear people doing transcendental meditations and how if you get a group of people to do that type of stuff, you can really make some really powerful things happen. That type of stuff is real. That energy is real. And now your SP feels that shit. Exactly. Whether you realize it or not, they're going to feel that shit. And they're going to start having these feelings of, man, maybe I should get out of here. Maybe I should flee. So
right. What did I do wrong? Why don't they like me? Subconsciously. I mean, honestly, I don't want to get specific at all, but like, you know, we're working with someone, you know, and he felt bad about how the relationship ended, but him describing, you know, his SP's friends group and parents, I have little doubt that some of this stuff was happening. It almost made him, compelled him to act in a way which was not his true nature and caused them to split up. But I bet you there was some energetic background of, oh, you know, maybe he's not the right guy for you. I don't know. You know, I'm just saying that energy, especially on like an interpersonal family or friends level, is very powerful and very destructive. Unless you have a bunch of people you really trust and that are follow the golden rule. The reason they have masterminds, for instance, we have the SP mastermind, for instance, is because it's people who are aligned following the golden rule, right? And when you know, birds of a feather flock together, like if you have that kind of energy in a positive way, it's great. But when it comes to relationships with the group stuff, it usually tends to bring them apart.
Which goes to my point that I made earlier. You need to go to people who are going to be objective. You need to go to people who are not going to pick a side and say, oh, because you're my daughter or you're my son, you're always right.
Or you're always wrong.
Again, yeah, or you're always wrong.
Right. Yeah.
You have to be, if you go to somebody and if you have friends in your life that are not gonna lie to you, that's a blessing.
Yes.
You have no idea how big of a miracle that is to have friends that are gonna keep it real with you and say, yo, this is your problem. This is your fault. It's not his or her fault. This is your fault. If you have a bunch of yes men around you, I don't know what to tell you, because that could be dangerous. It could be good, but at the same time, when it having a bunch of yes men around you could potentially be very dangerous.
Yeah, I know what to tell them. You need coaching.
Yeah.
You need someone to kick you in the ass. And not the coach is necessarily going to kick you in the ass, but anybody who comes to us and is kind of like, oh, I have these problems, I think it was mainly because of my partner, they're going to get their ass kicked, because someone where it really was the problem, the partner was the problem, they're going to come to us the opposite way, like we referenced earlier, where they think it was them. And we're going to say, no, it wasn't you, it was your partner. But when people are come in blaming their partners, it means the problem's almost always within them. Right? But, seek professional counseling, coaching, therapy, or that truly, wise friend, if you have it, if you're fortunate enough to have it. But don't go talking to strangers, and don't go talking to people in your family or friend circle about your relationships. Usually, guys, it's not going to pay off if it's negative. Speak kindly and lovingly of your partner. It's just common sense. You would want them to do the same for you. So,
Like I said, time always keeps the score. Time
yeah.
will always tell. It's no different than those. You have those kids that they grow up hating their parent. They grow up hating their mother or their father because their father or their mother is constantly spewing negative stuff about either or. Oh, your father does this, or your father did this, or your mother did this, da 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 da. And then they grow up hating their parent. And then when they get to about 20, 25, 30s, they realize, oh shit, my mom lied about my dad this whole time. My dad actually wasn't a cancer. He actually wasn't a problem. Oh, my mom actually was the problem. Or my dad actually was the problem. You know what I mean? And my mom wasn't the problem, even though my dad made me believe for 20 years that my mom had the issue. These things always come out in the end. I told you, time always keeps the score. So you can lie and tell your family, oh yeah, my boyfriend is always the problem, or my husband was always the problem. Nah, time is going to reveal, nah, you were actually the problem. So keep that in mind. Like, you can get away with lying for so long, only for so long.
Yeah. That goes for you, SP creators out there too.
Absolutely. Unless you get new fish. If you get new fish, then that's what keeps you guys alive, is new fish.
Yeah, well, the well's going to dry up. All right. Well, this has been a good one. Hard hitting. We're still in a good mood. If you want help from us, you know where to find us. Link in the description to work with us. Also, link in the description for the rest of the Joseph Murphy SP course. Any questions, let us know. We will talk again soon.